Have you ever felt like your life just changed overnight? Well, witch, you have eclipses to blame for that. Eclipses are honestly some of the most important astrological events, and you really should know what eclipses are. So, in this video, I am giving you the beginner's guide to eclipses. So, you are going to be an expert in eclipses after you watch this video. Eclipses bring endings, culmination, reveals, change, and new beginnings, whether you're ready for them or not. My name is Adama Sesay, and I am the editor-in-chief and founder of LilithAstrology.com, and also the author of Black Moon Lilith Rising, How to Unlock the Power of the Dark Divine Feminine Through Astrology, and the Black Moon Lilith Cosmic Alchemy Oracle Card Deck. And I absolutely love eclipse season. I love analyzing them for my clients and for my YouTube family and LilithAstrology.com tribe. And I think it's so impactful to know when there is an eclipse on your sun or your moon or your ascendant. It's so important. So let's break down what solar and lunar eclipses really mean, why they happen in cycles, and how we can move through eclipse season with more power and awareness. And we can also move without fear. Let's get into it. So, people have been fascinated by eclipses for thousands of years. It also helps that it's visible in the sky. So, it's something that the ancient astrologers really analyzed and took a look at what was manifesting around them. And the ancient astrologers saw them as omens, as prediction of the death of a king or the change in an empire. So, now in astrology, we know them as dramatic change and destiny at work. So eclipses really remind us that the sky really mirrors our lives, and they honestly give us a cosmic check and really show us where we may be misaligned or where there may be old things that are lingering around that are no longer of service to us. So eclipses bring us into the more authentic part of ourselves, and we leave behind what is old and what is no longer in alignment with us. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, and this blocks out the sun's light. So a solar eclipse is actually a new moon. And this is when the sun and the moon meet in the same sign. So this is why we have that dark effect. You cannot typically see a solar eclipse unless it's a certain type. We'll get into that. But astrologically, solar eclipses mark powerful new beginnings. They are considered malefic, especially by ancient astrologers, so they can bring endings or crisis that push us onto a new path and a new way of being. So think sudden change, events, karmic doors closing so that new ones can open. So there is the total solar eclipse where the light is completely blocked out. There is the partial solar eclipse where it only covers one part. And we have the annular solar eclipse. So this is the famous ring of fire. And this is when the moon does not quite cover the sun. And we also have the hybrid solar eclipse. And this is a rare eclipse that shifts between an annular and a total solar eclipse. And this occurs about once every decade or so. So super rare, but really interesting eclipse. And the last time we experienced one was April 2023. A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon and casts its shadow across the moon. So they always happen during a full moon, and this is when the sun and moon are in opposite zodiac signs. So this is a little bit different than the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse in the same sign, this is dark. And a lunar eclipse, this is where you get that bright, round, full effect. So lunar eclipses reveal truths. They are a culmination and bring closure. They help us release what we have outgrown. And emotionally, they can feel heavy or they can feel liberating. It really depends on how the moon is affecting your birth chart and what planets the moon is forming aspects with, what condition the moon is in. So lunar eclipses are not as malefic as solar eclipses. They have the tendency to be. It depends on how the moon is operating. And it also can be a moment of liberation and of elevation as well too. So you have to take a look at how the moon is affecting your chart. And I must interject actually to give you the free gift. So, my free workshop, Shadow and Light. This is my eclipse season workshop. This is so powerful. I do this on lilithastrology.com biannually. So we do this twice a year and we dive into the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, eclipse season as a whole, how it's affecting the collective, and how it's affecting each of the 12 zodiac signs. So this will give you a little bit more of insight into how eclipse season is going to affect you. So you can check out the Shadow and Light workshop and that RSVP on lilithastrology.com. And you don't want to miss the next one. It's going to be incredibly powerful and it's completely free when you come to the live workshop. So moving on, there are 3 types of lunar eclipses. So there's the total lunar eclipse. This can be called the blood moon because it casts a red glow. This is when the moon turns red, but not every total lunar eclipse is a blood moon. And blood moon is not necessarily an astrological term, but it can show up as that color red. There's the partial lunar eclipse, so only part of the moon is shadowed. And then the penumbral lunar eclipse is a subtle dimming of the moon's light. So why do eclipses happen in cycles? So eclipses don't happen every month because the moon's orbit is tilted. And eclipses also only happen when the sun and moon line up near the north and south nodes. And these are the points in the sky where the moon's path crosses the sun's path. And the north and south nodes of the moon are our karmic destiny, our life path. This is how we operated in a past life, what we may have experienced, what's comfortable. That's the south node. And then the north node is our karmic life path, where we're supposed to go in this lifetime. And they're always in opposing signs in our natal chart and transiting as well. But this is why eclipses have such a powerful impact, because they are a new or full moon near the nodes of the moon, which completely change life trajectory. So the nodes spend about 18 months in a pair of signs, and it takes about 18 to 19 years for them to move through the whole zodiac. So this is why eclipse themes repeat. So what started 19 years ago could come full circle today. And eclipses always come in pairs. So there's a solar eclipse followed by a lunar eclipse, and that typically is eclipse season. And this happens every 5 to 6 months, twice a year. So how can you work with eclipse energy? So first off, eclipses are extremely unpredictable. Like I said, solar eclipses are malefic. Lunar eclipses, it really depends on the condition of the eclipse. So how to work with eclipse energy? So here's the thing, eclipses are unpredictable. And typically they are malefic. So this is why we don't really recommend rituals, doing magic or spell work, setting new intentions on the day of an eclipse, because that energy is just too unstable and it's a bit challenging. So instead, you want to focus and surrender, and you want to focus on your physical body and yourself. So resting and grounding. You can also journal, see what comes up for you, what emotions are coming up, release control of outcomes, meditate or practice breath work. And I also encourage you guys, get a reading if you're really going through it, to see how the eclipses touch your chart. You can check all of that out at lilithastrology.com down in the description box. So let's go over some of the meaning of eclipses in astrology. So Eclipses are the dance of shadow and light, and this is why I named my free workshop Shadow and Light. Solar eclipses push us into the darkness, into the unknown, into new beginnings. And lunar eclipses help us release the past, embrace change, and close cycles in the light. So together, they remind us that growth always comes with both beginnings and endings, taking the shadow and transmuting it into light. So, eclipses are some of the most powerful astrological events of the year. Don't be scared. They are here to align us with our true destiny. We can understand the realm of where things are going in our lives by looking at the astrology and looking at the eclipses, but sometimes they can be erratic and unpredictable, and that is the lesson behind eclipses. So, if you are ready to go deeper into eclipse season and discover how it's activating your personal chart, how it's activating the collective, what it means for the world, join me in my Shadow and Light Eclipse Season Workshop. The link is down below in the description. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the like button. This helps our channel. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.